Well, welcome to Cut the Cable Cord. My name's TJ DeWitt, and I work here at Bristol Library in the Homer and Ida Jones Workforce Development, Technology, and Creative Arts Center. And today, we're going to be talking about cutting the cable cord. Now, this is kind of going to be a little bit of modern technology. Streaming has been around for a while, so it's going to be kind of a history lesson. It's amazing to think that we can now talk about the history of cable cutting, but we'll talk a little bit about that. And we'll go over some of the scenarios and different apps. This will not be a comprehensive list of every single app out there and every single service and what they all do, but this will give you an overview of some of them. And I've provided some nice resources at the end. So if you want to look up more information, you can look it up on your own. So we'll be going over what is cord cutting and what devices you'll need for it. We'll talk about some of the streaming services, the on-demand services such as Netflix and Hulu, some of the live TV options, and even some free streaming, because these days if you're willing to put up with some commercials, there's a lot of free stuff out there that you don't need to pay for. We'll talk briefly about selecting internet services and what kind of speeds you might need to handle streaming. And we'll go over some scenarios on, like, if you're a sports lover, what kind of streaming services might be good for you, and how much is it going to cost you? And finally, at the end, I have some nice resources. And for those of you who are attending in person, they're on these slides right here, and I also have room for notes, so feel free to take notes for all of us. Well, let's start off. What is cord cutting? Basically, cord cutting, for the last 50 years or so, cable has pretty much dominated how most people watch TV. A few years ago, maybe, I don't know, 15 years ago or so, people start finding that maybe it's cheaper, maybe it's they could be a little choosier if they drop their cable and use streaming services to meet their television needs. Lately, there's kind of been a shift. It used to be that you could really save a lot of money by cutting the cable cord and using streaming services, but lately, the streaming services have gotten a little more expensive. Cable might have come down just a little bit. So in some scenarios, you're not saving money at all by streaming. And so it's one of those things you're going to have to pick and choose and decide what you want to do with it. How do you stream? Generally, you'll have to have wireless internet. You can have wired internet, but that would mean that you'd want your TV right next to your wired internet. And I believe most everyone has Wi-Fi service anyway. You'll need some sort of streaming device. We'll go over some of the more popular ones and show you what we mean by that. You'll generally need a subscription to streaming service like Netflix or Hulu. And you'll need a TV with an HDMI port. The HDMI ports, they're the ones that kind of look like a trapezoid. I'm going to go out on a limb and say if you have a flat screen TV, you have HDMI ports on your television. If you're still using a cathode ray tube television, you might need some other equipment, but we won't go into that today. So here's a few pros and cons of totally doing away with cable compared to not getting rid of it. It might be cheaper to cut cable, but not necessarily. You can pay for only what you want what you want and what you watch. So you can pay for just one service and that's it. You don't have to buy an $80 cable bundle. Usually with cable cutting, they don't have commercials, and everything is basically on demand. You can start watching it when you want to watch, you can pause, you can come back to it, so you can watch things at your leisure. You're not tied to this show comes on at 9 o'clock, I have to watch it at 9 o'clock. Some of the cons, there's sometimes less content. You usually don't get as many channels for the money, maybe. You must purchase at least one streaming device, but that's not a big deal anymore because they're not that expensive. You might miss out on some of the exclusive content, especially with some services. And if you watch a lot of TV, it could end up costing more to get the same content. So there's no right or wrong answer for this. This is it depends on your needs. At any time, if you want me to explain something or you have any questions, please raise your hand, blurt them out there. I'll be happy to answer them for you. Yeah. That's a good point. That usually with your cable, you have a nice guide that you can go down and find what you want to watch and click onto it. If you have several streaming services, you got to look through each one sometimes to find out. I have a nice tool for this, so I'll be showing you that at least shows you where they are. That's kind of nice to use. So we'll be looking at that here in a little bit. Okay, a few notes about pricing. For one thing, streaming prices have gone up recently in the last couple of years. And my guess is they're still going up and down and that sort of thing. So whatever price I gave you, that I looked up last night, might not even be the same today. So especially if you're watching the recording, the prices may be different than what are listed here. When I've gone through the pricing, I have tried not to do trial pricing or bundles. Lots of things will say you get a week free, or you get, if you get this and this and that, we'll reduce your costs. So as much as possible, I've tried to just show the ongoing cost for every app so you know what you're getting into. More and more, cord cutting is not a choice. That a lot of cable companies are dropping cable, as funny as that sounds, and they're directing you to some sort of streaming source. I expect that's going to continue, but I don't know for how long. I did a little research. For me at my house, if I were to get cable only, it would be about $80. Now that doesn't include internet. And I'm not considering internet prices as part of a cord cutting because I'm assuming that many people either already have internet or most cable companies are starting to require you to get internet to get cable. So I've just cut that out of the cost because if you only watch cable and you had no use for internet, if you add internet price plus some of these services, you'll instantly see it's more expensive than cable. So we'll go over some of those, but just for a reference, cable price for, like the 100 channels or so is about $80. Any questions? All right. We're going to move on to some of the devices that we may use, some of the hardware, some of the things that connect you to streaming services. Some of these you may already have, some of the you may decide that you want to do. I've tried to include some prices, but again, there are so many things out there that this is not a comprehensive list. The first company I'm going to talk about is Roku. Uh, a lot of the others are tied to some of the big names like Android or Google. Roku has been a streaming device that I don't know that anyone else owns them. They're kind of a standalone. They have a lot of good products there. The Roku Express is $30, and that allows you to do HD, high definition television. If you bump it up, you can get 4K for $40. And then they have a whole range of other things. Yes, that's correct. That's a one-time price for these. These are the equipment. So I think on all of the devices, I'm going to be talking about just purchasing the device. They have a lot of their devices, they have different types of remotes, and some of them are fancier than others. So at least for Roku, that's a lot of what they have about half a dozen different products, maybe even more now. But some of them come with better remotes, some of them come from other things. But that gives you an idea of some of the pricing. Yeah. Yes, most of these devices, like the Roku, what they do is they connect to your Wi-Fi. And so if you have Wi-Fi in your home, you set the Roku, it travels over Wi-Fi. Some of these devices also have an Ethernet connection. So if your router happens to be really close to your television or your device, you can wire it in through an Ethernet cable as well. But generally, these are Wi-Fi devices that connect to your internet that way. Amazon, they have the Fire TV. They again have different lines. The Fire TV sticks are $30 to $40, and it's HD ready. I have a Fire Stick right here that this is one I had a few years ago, and this one broke, and I had to get another one. But they're just a dongle like this that you plug one into the television, plug in power, comes with a remote. Most of these devices, streaming devices, are very similar. Roku's very similar. Chromecast is very similar. So they're all about the same amount of equipment, just different companies make them. Correct. Yes, it's a different way of bringing it in. And if you ask why I have Amazon's as opposed to Roku or as opposed to any of these others, it was one of those things that I got Amazon first. And so now that I've had Amazon, most of my things are over there. So I've kept going with Amazon, but no good reason why one over the other. Yes. Yes. A lot of these will give you more options. Like with the $140 option, it's remote free. You just actually talk to your television and it will do what you tell it to do. It comes with maybe better Wi-Fi and better things like that. Um, you know, some of the better devices will allow better images. Most things are standard definition or high definition and 4K, but I think there's at least a couple of devices out here that can handle up to 8K. But of course, you have to have an 8K television, and there's not that much 8K content right now. So, I wouldn't necessarily say that you had to have 8K. You probably don't have to have 8K right now. Some of these come with fancier remotes. Like in the case of the Roku, the more expensive ones are actually a sound bar that has Roku in it. So if you need better sound, you might want to get a sound bar with Roku in it. Apple, of course, they have their own. It's called Apple TV 4K. Again, it's if you have a lot of Apple devices, you might want to consider at least look at the Apple TV because it connects with your uh, AirPods and your other Apple devices. So if you really have a lot of Apple devices and like them, you'll get a similar experience with Apple TV 4K. Oh, is the remote awful? Oh, I've never used an Apple TV, but that's good to know that you can download it to your phone and use that. Yeah, yeah. Do you have the 4K or one of the earlier ones? Okay, okay. Oh, yeah, yeah. Google, they have theirs. They have their Chromecasts. They only have a couple. They have one that's HD ready and one that's 4K ready. And then, of course, you have smart TVs. Uh, Years ago, you could pretty much pick whether you want a smart TV or a non-smart TV. These days, I'm not even sure if they're making TVs that aren't smart TVs because it's so simple for them to put in the hardware. Um, One of the things that even if you get a smart TV, you might want to consider getting one of the other devices. I'll give a good example. A relative of mine recently got a smart TV and was using it. And he wanted what he likes to watch is the great courses, and that's through the Wandrium app. Well, it turned out that his smart TV couldn't get the Wandrium app. And so he was going through the web browser, and it was an awful experience. It'd take like 5 minutes to load, and then you'd press it and wait. And then the course would begin, and then it would buffer. It was just a bad experience. He then took a Roku stick, put it on. They had the app. It was a great experience. So sometimes if you're not happy with your smart TV, you might consider trying one of the other devices and see if that helps your experience. But if it works for what you need, you don't have to buy another device if you already have a smart TV. So that's the advantage. Finally, you can stream to all your other devices too, which is kind of nice. You can watch on your phone or on your tablet or on your computer. So your Netflix subscription, for example, that you have on the smart TV, you put in the same account and you can watch on your laptop. So that is a nice thing that a lot of other devices have these apps. In fact, that's kind of where a lot of these smart devices came from is people were watching content on their phones and said, boy, that's really small. I wish I could watch it on the big screen that I already have in my house. And so that's where a lot of these devices, where they got their origin. Um, and finally, good old rabbit ears antennas. They are still around. They're a great option to combine with others. Like the other devices, an antenna is a one-time purchase, and depending on where you live and which way your windows face and that sort of thing, you can get about 40 channels, and the local channels just from antenna. So maybe antenna is all you need these days. Um, so consider an antenna with all of these. Yes. Yeah. Of course, just like the old rabbit ears versus like the roof mounted antennas. That's the kind of things. Many of them are going to be somewhere mid-range. You can get just simple rabbit ears for around $12, but they won't have any sort of signal enhancements. I have a pair of rabbit ears at home, and if I want to watch anything, I have to like bring them over to the banister and point them straight out the window. And even then, I only get like 2 or 3 channels. So I'm considering upgrading mine anyway. So if you don't get enough channels, you may want to see if you can. Maybe not. There is a great resource that I have in your resources. If you kind of look on that last page, the antennaweb.org, you can put in your exact address, and it will give you suggestions of what kind of antennas you need to get which stations. So, much depends if you live in a holler or if you live up top somewhere. But this will give you really nice direction of what type of antenna you might want and what channels you can get from your place. So definitely check that one out. Some of the apps you can through them, and we're going to go through some of the live streaming apps. I'll point out the ones where you can get local channels. So yeah, some of them you can. Some of them you can't. And so if you pair it with an antenna, you get a little bit of both. Okay, so we'll start with the subscription services. Many of you probably already have some of these, or you've at least heard of them. These were kind of like the first services to come out, and they kind of paved the way. So the first one that I'm sure everyone's heard of is Netflix. Netflix started as a DVD in the mail thing, and that era is about to end. I think next month they're stopping sending out DVDs altogether. So they started a streaming service where you could go to a library of different TV shows and movies, and it's gone on from there. At first, they had a wide range of content for not very much because there wasn't much money in streaming. Well, now that more and more people are streaming, they lost some of their licenses to different ones. It got too expensive. So then they started making their own content. So they did that. And for a long time, it was completely ad-free. But in the last year, they've had tiers with ads, and the prices have gone up and that sort of thing. So all of these services I'm going to talk about have like different tiers of plans. And I'll hopefully mention a few things about them, but you might want to look into them in details if you're interested to see which one works better for you. The basic plan for Netflix is $10, and that's one user at a time that can use it. And I think that's just standard definition there. If you don't mind ads, you can reduce it to $7. Their standard plan allows for 2 users. I think that's still standard definite or a high definition. And their premium plan is $20, and that's for 4 users at a time. And that's 4K quality on some things. So the different plans may depend on your circumstances. You may have also heard that Netflix has cracked down on password sharing these days. So people who are using Netflix and sharing their passwords, they've been told if they want to continue that, I believe it's like $8 to continue sharing their password. Netflix does not have any live TV at all. It's all like a library that you pick and choose. They do have exclusives, Stranger Things, things that are exclusive to their channel. And we're going to see a lot of that. That's kind of the current nature of streaming channels, is the companies have kind of walled in their own shows to their own services. So you feel like you have to get their service to watch your favorite show. So that's kind of where we are with them. The next one you may have heard of is Hulu. It's another early one. At first, it was kind of television from, I think it was NBC and ABC and Fox. But, in the last several years, Disney's bought Fox and this has happened. So the shows that you saw on there 10 years ago may not be the same shows as now. You can do it for $8 a month. It's one of the less expensive ones, and that comes with ads. Or you can do $15 a month for no ads. They are currently owned by Disney, so a popular discount that you can get is ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, along with Hulu. You can get the ad-free for like $20. So that's one that you might be interested in. Amazon, that's another interesting one. If you have Amazon Prime, you may or may not know this. If you subscribe to Prime for the free shipping, you already have access to Prime Instant Video. And again, they have a lot of exclusives. You can watch movies and TVs for free using your Amazon Prime account. So, I kind of live out in the middle of nowhere. So Prime is convenient for me because that way things are shipped to me. I don't have to go, 20, 30 minutes out to go to Walmart. So since I already have it, might as well use the Instant Prime streaming service. Amazon's another one that you can rent or buy movies from. So if there's a movie that you just like and you like watching it over and over again, you can buy it directly through Amazon, and it's with your Amazon Prime. So that's one to consider, especially if you're already getting Amazon Prime. There's a lot of others out there. They generally have a similar model with similar pricing. Peacock, that's NBC's content. So, your Friends, your modern TV shows, Saturday Night Live, all that would be on Peacock. Disney Plus has all the Disney and some of the Fox. I think Disney Plus is maybe the only place you can get Simpsons right now. And like Max, that's now HBO Max. It used to be HBO Now and HBO Max, and now they've just gone to Max. So that's that. Apple TV Plus, again, they have their own exclusive shows. Paramount Plus, that's CBS, so that's like where all the Star Trek is and things. One thing you can do with a lot of these services, which you can't really do with cable, you're basically charged by a month. So if you want to, you can just keep rotating through. Keep Hulu until you're tired of everything you've seen on there. Drop Hulu, go to Paramount, watch what you want on there, flip through. So, that is kind of a perk with these, that once you've seen everything on one, you can drop it, pick up another. What they're hoping you're going to do is you're going to just keep them going and you forget to unsubscribe. So that's what they're hoping. Another streaming service I touched on with Amazon Video, but through like Amazon or Google Play or iTunes, Windows Store, Vudu. This is where you can rent or buy different movies and television shows. So they're probably all about the same price on different ones. So if you have a Google and have Android, maybe you go to Google Play. If you do a lot with Amazon, maybe you do Amazon Video. But these are different places where if you just want to do, and recently, new releases that are still out on the theaters, you can just rent or buy, while they're still out in the theater. So if you don't like the movie theater experience, but you still want to see the movie that everyone's watching right now, there's a good chance you can just see it on your television screen. Sometimes cost varies between HD and 4K. Some of the, like a television show might be a certain, one episode might be $1.99, $2. Newer things are of course going to be more expensive. Here in a moment, we're going to move on to some of the live TV. But before we do you have any questions on these services or comments, suggestions, that good experiences, bad experiences? Yeah. 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 And a lot of these will do that. I didn't go over some of the bundles, but that sometimes it's cheaper if you already have Amazon Prime to subscribe for say HBO. It might be cheaper to subscribe for HBO through your Amazon Prime than would be for getting the other app. I don't know the economics of it, but I think it has to do that Amazon gets a cut of the money if you buy it through Prime, their channel through Prime. But it also keeps down the number of usernames and passwords and services. So that is something that can be convenient. So yeah, a lot of these streaming services, Amazon, and definitely some of the ones we're getting ready to take a look at, you can add on some channels. Okay. Live TV streaming. These are things that are similar to cable. I think someone mentioned that, you don't get that experience of just scrolling and seeing what's on and with TV Guide and just clicking on it and see. That was one of the disadvantages of cutting the cord, was that you can't just like flip through and see what's on. You can't just just channel surf and see what's playing now. You miss out on a lot of live things. So a lot of companies have brought the cable experience to their streaming services. So if you're in the situation where by choice or by your cable company forcing you off of traditional cable, some of these will be very similar experiences to cable, and you get to see what's live on TV now. The first one I'm going to talk about is Sling. It's an interesting one. It's been around for a while, and it was one of the first ones. They have about 24 channels. They have two types. They have orange and blue package, and both of them get all of the channels you see right here. So AMC, CNN, and these are live stream channels. It's just like doing your cable box. So whatever's on History Channel on your cable is on History Channel on your Sling. The orange package is for like sports and family. So it has your ESPN, it has your, I think, Disney Channel. Your blue package has news and entertainment, and you can get both packages for $55. And you can do add-ons to it. You can have a sports add-on or a kids add-on or entertainment add-on. So it's a good way if you watch, you like the TV experience, the live TV experience, but you want to save a little money from cable. This is like $40. So it can be a little less expensive. Yes. Yes, these are a month now. Yeah, I didn't put on this one, but I think I did on the others. For these prices, they're per month. And you can pick it up and drop it anytime. So again, you can choose one, see if you like it. If you don't, go to another one. that is a little more convenient than cable, because usually around here you get one or two choices from cable. You don't get a lot of different ones. If you want to go pretty much exactly like cable, YouTube TV, it basically has 100 plus channels. It's $73 a month. It does include local channels like ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC. So if you want to see WCYB, you can go right to it on YouTube. If you weren't paying attention, you could think like you were just looking at cable. You can upgrade to 4K for an extra $10. So most of it's SD, but you can upgrade if you like that experience. And you can add other channels to it. You can add your HBO, you can add your Disney, this is very similar to what my cable was like when I did it, 15 years ago. So it's a very similar experience. Before I forget, oh yes. Well, one thing that YouTube adds is they added all the local channels. Sling doesn't have your ABC, NBC. So if you already had an antenna and you could get a lot, you might consider doing Sling. If you don't have an antenna or you live in a place where you get really bad reception, maybe YouTube's the way you want to go. So this will all depend. But yeah, you get your experience might be different for different ones. Yeah. Uh, Usually most TVs you'll have like a mode button that you can go from one to the other. So usually it's that simple. You just need to know which button it does on the remote to go from like an antenna to your Roku device. So oh yes. Yes. To avoid multiple remotes, some smart TVs, you can kind of do that with your smart TV. If you already have a smart TV and it has a remote, that you can keep that one remote and it would control your TV. And since it's already a smart TV that says has Roku, then you can just use that one remote to go from one thing to another. But yeah, that's one disadvantage. If you have a bunch of different devices, you may have a bunch of different remotes. I think that's been plaguing us for the last 20 years or so. You have your DVD remote, you have your television remote, you have your stereo remote. So yeah, that's they're not there yet. um, Another one that's another interesting with Hulu, you can get Hulu with live TV. So it's similar to the YouTube TV. It's about $70 per month. And you get 90 channels, including your traditional broadcast channels, ABC, CBS, Fox. I'm not sure. I don't remember if those are local channels or if they're just nationwide channels. I can't remember if on Hulu TV. It goes ahead and includes your Hulu content, your Disney Plus content, and ESPN Plus content. So if you already have Hulu and like Hulu, maybe you want that as opposed to YouTube. And again, like most of these, you can pick and choose extra add-ons like a sports package or an HBO package. And for an extra $13, you can upgrade to Hulu and Disney ad-free on top of that 70. So that 70 is with ads. But that's that one. And there's a few others. Philo or Philo, I'm not sure how they pronounce it. It's the cheapest. It's about $25, but lacks a lot of the major networks. But if if there's a lot of shows on there that you like, maybe that's all you need. So it's the least expensive, and of course, it doesn't come with local TV. Fubo, it's 75. It's marketed more to sports, so it's again kind of like the YouTube TV and the Hulu TV, similar cost, similar experience. And also DirecTV Stream is about $75. I think that's the one that Point Broadband has, and they may have a special deal that's less expensive per month. So again, none of these I'm considering being bundled with your internet bill or anything, but some of them you may be able to. But there's similar experiences, live TV that you can scroll down. A lot of them will have on-demand TV that you can look. And one of the things I forgot to mention is a lot of these also come with DVR capabilities that you can record live shows or set it up to record. So if you want to watch one show and the other one's also live, you can record and watch it later. So on your resource page, I found a good article that compares all of these, which channels they include, what perks they have, like DVR. That's the best live TV streaming for cord cutters. So that one, if you're interested in live TV, you might want to have that one. Take a look at it and you can get some more details. All right. Any questions before we move on to some of the free content? All right. Believe it or not, there's a lot of free services out there. Now, when I say free, these will probably come with ads. They won't necessarily be the newest things or most popular things. But sometimes you can find some nice gems in there. Nothing's for free, so you're probably gonna have to watch some ads. But as long as they're not too annoying and you don't mind an ad, when an ad comes up, you go and get some more popcorn or something, then it's not so bad. Crackle is one of the earliest ones. It's free to stream, but it's limited in content and includes commercials. That'll be the case with most of these. It has movies and television and even some original content, but does not have any live TV. Another one is Freevee. Yeah, this one's one that's owned by Amazon, but it's still free to use. You'll see a lot of these that maybe these are owned by someone, but it gives free content. It does have some live TV, and it has its own movies and TV and original content. If you're already using Amazon Prime, you're probably not going to see anything on here that you can't get with Amazon Prime. But if you don't have Amazon Prime, you might be able to find some nice things on there. Another one is Pluto TV. It is kind of a live TV, and it's very similar to the old TV Guide experience. You see what's playing right now, you go there. Some channels are truly live, and you can see what's on. Some, like some of the newscasts that they have on there, they have clips of recent shows, but it won't be the same experience like if you went to CNN. It won't show you exactly what's live. But it also has movies and TV on demand, so that's nice too. And again, these are paid through by commercials, so there's no monthly cost to any of these. There's a lot of other ones. Again, in your resources, I've put some of them. Yes. Some of them you can, some of them you do need a subscription, and some of them they give you perks if you get a subscription. I have I found a great article about the free ones. Again, it's in the resource packet there, and it goes over which ones you need an account and which ones you can just do. I think Pluto is one that you can just put it on. You don't need an account. You can just watch what's there. So, some of these, that really almost nothing is private anymore, but some of them, yeah, yeah. A lot of these you don't need to subscribe; you can just watch. So yeah, they are a little more, uh, a little less annoying with spam and that sort of thing. Like I said, go to the free one. There's a lot of others. Tubi, there's and none of others are coming to my mind right now, but there's a lot of other free ones. And if you already have a smart TV, you can watch them. Some like Roku. Roku has a lot of great channels on it on its own. And if you don't have a Roku device, you can just get the Roku app and get the same channels. So if you're just looking for something to watch, maybe like sometimes I put on the TV while I'm doing some housework. Hey, great, free channels. So that's nice. We are very fortunate in this area. As you may know, we've had fiber internet here before a lot of other major places, at least in Bristol. So really, you don't have to worry as much about how fast your internet is and that sort of thing here to do streaming as you did some places. But we'll talk a little bit about internet speeds and how much it costs. Now I'm talking about, in-home internet. You can get mobile internet, like on your phone or a hotspot, and those prices will differ. But I'm just talking about if you're in your home and have traditional internet, this is kind of what you look. I looked at a couple of companies in the area. I didn't really dig down deep because, as you probably know, there's only so many internet companies that will provide service to your house. I think I have 2 at my house that will do, maybe 3, but really only 2 are viable for me. So I've prices may vary. For somewhere between 60 megabits per second, and this is the speed of your internet, it's going to cost you about $50-$60 here. For about 500 megabits per second, that's $70-$80 a month. For gigabit internet, $80 to $100 a month. It's really been cool that we've had gigabit internet in this area for years now, and a lot of places are just catching up. But what does that mean? How much do you need? So if you're doing regular HD streaming, one rule of thumb is you need about 5 to 7 megabits per second per device. So if you're using 2 devices at a time, at most, we're talking 14 megabits per device. Lowest tier, plenty of speed. Even if you're doing 4K streaming, you're probably not doing that on all of your devices. You may only do that on your television. That's 25 to 30 megabits. So probably the lowest tier is good enough in this area. So it's kind of a neat thing to say is you don't have to worry about your internet speed for the first time in, like, I don't know, my lifetime. That it's not that big of a deal anymore. So it's kind of nice that we've finally gotten to that. Eventually 8K streaming is going to come through. That's years down the road. You might need faster, but usually internet speeds get faster as that happens. So that's kind of what you're at. Yes. Maybe not. Things go quick. But yeah, so if you're limited, like maybe there for a while, I was getting DSL, and that was a lot slower for me, so I had to go to internet speed. If you do use a hotspot or you're mostly using your phone or other mobile device, beware that the streaming is probably fast enough, but watching content on your phone goes through a lot of data. So if you have a limited data plan, then that can limit you. But your traditional in-house internet doesn't have data limits. Do you need a faster streaming? You might be going, I don't really know what package I'm at, or I don't really know what kind of stream I get, or well, I'm in a apartment complex and they divide it, so I don't really know how fast the internet is. Speedtest.net, great way of seeing what your speed is right now. It's a great way of if your internet just seems slow, you can try it out and see if it is. I know a couple times the internet here at the library seemed really slow, and I just went to speed test, and sure enough, it was going really slow. So I contacted tech support and got it worked on. So that's a nice one to know, not just for cord cutting, but just anywhere what your speed test is. Some strategies for cutting the cost. Like I said, use Wi-Fi if you're using a mobile device. If you're connected to Wi-Fi, if you're at home and you have Wi-Fi, put your phone on your Wi-Fi. That'll save the data. When your contract ends, switch companies to receive promotional pricing. So if you're one of those that has a couple different internet services, maybe you say, I can get for right now, I can get $20 off if I sign up for this. So, you can consider doing that. Have someone else in your household make a new contract. That's another way that you can, get the same service, but with a different name on the account, maybe get some bundles. And call your provider. If, sometimes if you say, I've been with you for a while, but such and such company is offering a special deal, and so I'm thinking of going with them. Can you match it? Maybe you can get some price off of it. So those are for your mostly for your internet providers there. And I did want to mention that right now, and at least for the next year or so, the federal program, the Affordable Connectivity Program, what that is, if you haven't heard about, is for qualifying families, you get $30 off of your internet. Many companies subscribe to the Affordable Connectivity Program. You don't necessarily have to sign up for a different service. If you qualify, you kind of can just tell your cable company, hey, I qualify, I've gone through the national verifier, here's my code, reduce my internet by 30 a month for the next, while it's done with this program. So who qualifies? Anyone who qualifies for federal assistance programs like SNAP or SSI, federal housing, veterans pensions and veteran survivors, they qualify. If your family is below 200% of the poverty line, then you qualify. Again, I have in the resource page, I have a place where you can check and see if you qualify. So, hey, doesn't hurt to check. You might be able to get $30 off a month on your internet as it is. So that's a program that you might want to look into. Okay, so now I'm going to go through a few scenarios to show you, kind of what you're looking at if you do streaming, and maybe some strategies and kind of what you can plan for. So let's say you're a sports lover and you don't care about 4K. High definition is great for you. You have no reason for it. But you do want, some of the local channels. You do a one-time buy of HD antenna, and one-time buy of a Roku stick. That's $80. So that's your initial investment. And you buy the Sling TV Orange package, which is a sports package. And then you add on their sports package that has like the SEC network and you know, the NFL and everything there. That's $51 a month. So basically, your initial investment is $80, and you'll be paying $51 a month after that. So, you know, that's cheaper than that $80 that I mentioned, and you may get some different networks. And you do with the HD antenna, you get the local channels. It looks like that one's a $50 one. Is probably one that gets pretty good signal. So, but you know, that's one way you might want to do. What if you love movies? Oh, yes, yes. Yeah, generally you can be watching different content on different televisions. Some like Netflix, for example, limits you to, depending on the tier, like one or two users at a time. So, you know, if you are a family with lots of kids, maybe it's worth it to go over to the premium level just because everyone wants to watch something different at different time at the same time. You know, you can do that. That's fine. Yeah, you can use different ones on different TVs. You can go back and forth. You can pick and choose which services you like. So yeah, you can use different ones and different on different devices. Um, so let's say you're a movie lover and you really like a crisp scene. You really, when you want to sit down to a movie, you don't want any interruptions. You want to be blown away by the picture. So you have a 4K TV and you want to use it. Um, you decide that the Fire TV Cube is exactly what you're looking for. It's a more expensive device, but man, it has great things that do wonders for you. So that's 140. You want Amazon Prime Video, and that's $9 a month. You definitely want that Netflix Premium because they have a lot of movies, and you want that 4K content, so that's 20 a month. And you want HBO Max Ultimate. Again, that gives you the 4K. You really want that crisp picture for all of these. Your initial investment for these would be $140. And you're paying $49 a month for every month for every year after that. So if you're just really into movies, you don't care about TV, or maybe you sometimes watch TV, but you don't care about live TV, maybe this is an option. Yes. Yeah, yeah. And depending on your Fire Stick, yeah, some Fire Sticks are just standard definition, some are high definition. Sometimes it's worth getting a better stick depending on where your Wi-Fi is. Sometimes the bigger devices get better connections to the Wi-Fi. I was definitely seeing that when I was looking through the different Roku devices. They would say this one gets better Wi-Fi, you know, so yeah, you may be able to do the same thing for a $50 stick instead of 140. Yes, yeah, yeah. They have different categories there. Yeah, yeah, and a lot of these sticks, like if you have an Amazon Fire Stick, you can get Netflix, you can get Disney, you can get Apple TV, even though you know, even though it's a Amazon stick, you can still get Apple TV. They're getting better and better about that they don't wall off their content by their devices. Yeah, the Amazon Prime you pay for the month. Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of these companies hook you into them and then want to keep you as a subscriber. Okay. Another example, maybe you mostly are on the go. You mostly use your smartphone to watch television, but you sometimes want to see it on the big screen. Google Chromecast, that used to be their niche where you could just use your phone and cast it to the TV. Lots of places do it there, but Chromecast for say $30. Netflix Basic, you don't want commercials, but you're the only one using it, $10 a month. Hulu with ads, you don't mind a few ads, $8 a month. So initial investment, $30 for a stick and $18 a month for every year after that. That's not that's a way of doing cheap if you don't need a lot of television or you have a lot of things you haven't caught up on. Maybe you can just do a couple of services and be perfectly happy for it. I for a long time I had basically Netflix and Hulu, and that was it. I got hooked into some of the others. Another one, maybe you really like TV shows, and again, you want that 4K experience. You go ahead and you get an Apple TV 4K for 129. Definitely like that cable experience. So you get YouTube TV and you want that 4K experience. So you add that extra 13. So it's 83 a month. And you go ahead and get the Hulu bundle with both Disney Plus and ESPN Plus, the premium one. So you get that 4K. It's $20 a month. Initial investment is $129, and did I do my math right? I did not do my math right there. It's not 183 per month. It's 103 per month every year after that. The typo right there, but 103. That's more expensive than cable. That's an example of TV. I'll make sure I correct this mistake before the next time I give it to the program. But those are more examples. I mean, really, you can look into some of these, pick and choose. Like I said, maybe you watch everything on Netflix that you wanted to watch, and you drop Netflix and you pick up Peacock and you watch Peacock and see all the NBC shows that you want to see, and then you've seen everything, so then you go to another. So you can always drop and pick up. So you can set your entertainment budget, stick within it, and rotate through and still see lots of things. A few resources. And some of these are great to use for those of you who are watching the recording on these. I'll try to keep the resources up. Some of these resources you will see. I've shortened the address, use the bit.ly address because it would be too long to put to type in. Just watch. If you're wondering what show and is on what streaming service, you choose what show you want, and they'll show you where you can stream it. They'll show you where it's streaming for free. So that's a good resource to have if there's a particular show you're interested in and you don't know which app has it right now. It's kind of neat. You can go on there and see, and it'll give you suggestions on which ones it is, and maybe it's on a free service that you haven't picked up before, and you learn other things. So that one's a really neat one to do. And it's also movies too. Yeah. And let's see here. I'll just quickly, if I can, I'll just quickly go to it and give an example of this one. Okay, let's see here. Oops. So, for example, let's see here. So, what do you say, Braves game? I'm not sure if he'll show. No, it's not showing live TV, so this would be more like series. So if you heard about, let's do a classic TV show, MASH. Let's see where that is. So you can see that you can stream it on Hulu, you can buy it on Apple TV, you can get bundles through Hulu right there. If you want to watch that live, you can, it shows, let's see here, if you want to watch it free, you can get a free trial of Apple TV, and it shows you about the television show. So you can kind of look up and see where things are and where they exist now, because once upon a time they may have been on Netflix and now they're on Peacock or something like that. So it's kind of nice. Let's see what. So you can kind of look at, let's see here, sports. So if we wanted to do baseball, and it will show you that it'll be coming on and you can watch it live on MLB TV, and it's live on Sling. So that's another way you can take a look at these. So yeah. So if you have several apps and you're looking for something very specific, that's a good resource to do. I go back to my slide. Okay. Some more resources. The best free streaming services in August 23. You can go to that site. There's a lot of good ones that compares like which ones have live TV, what you can expect, what they specialize in. Like some might have a lot of British TV that you've never seen. Others might have classics and some might be movies. So it's nice to look at. Best live TV streaming service for Cord Cutters 23. That goes into a lot of the differences between YouTube TV, Hulu Live, all of those and what they currently offer. So if you're considering one of those, discover which over-the-air stations you can get from an antenna and maybe what kind of antenna you need to reach them. Antennaweb.org, that's a good one. If you want to test your internet speed, speedtest.net. And if you want to know more about the Affordable Connectivity Program, go to that affordableconnectivity.gov. And those are really some good resources out there that'll show you. Of course, if you go to the various like Roku and Amazon Fire Sticks and that sort of thing, you can get more details about any of the devices that I kind of briefly went over today. Well, I know we covered a lot of different things, but are there any lingering questions that you may have? Yes. The question was, what about your Wi-Fi router? Would you be better off if your speed seems kind of slow? Would you be better off going ahead and get a new Wi-Fi router? I read an interesting article. I can't remember where, but I like the advice. They said that if your router is more than, say, 5 years old, you might want to consider getting a new one because they've probably upped the technology. Like right now, they're getting ready to introduce Wi-Fi 6. Not many devices can connect to Wi-Fi 6, but they're coming. 5 years ago, of course, they didn't have it at all. But I think it said if your router's more than 10 years old, you'll probably see a lot of advantages for getting a new one. If you're another thing you can maybe do, some routers, they have antennas that stick out. You might be able to switch them out with a better antenna. That can help as well. I was considering doing the same thing because I don't get very good reception. I was trying to do a Zoom meeting in the far room the other day, and suddenly I can't do that very well. So I'm considering the same thing. Maybe it's time a new router or at least a new antenna. Yeah, Wi-Fi extender throughout your house. Yeah, that's another way. If especially if you have a large house that may have a lot of material involved, then having a Wi-Fi extender that goes throughout the building can help. The library, for example, we have many extenders in here that every different place in the library has a different one because this place eats signals, and I don't know if you've had a cell phone on through here, it'll sometimes eat your cell phone signals. So yeah, that's another way of extending it throughout your house is using extender. I have not heard exactly what BTS is doing. I did happen to read the last newsletter that they sent out, and it looked like they were saying we want you to start looking and seeing if streaming works for you, but for right now we're keeping cable. So I don't know what the future it has, but I know Point Broadband has moved away from offering cable, so I'm not sure if that's the way that the BTS is going or not. That it may be. Yeah. I did notice when I was looking for pricing, I may not have this right. So if I have it wrong, I'm sorry, but it looked like you had to sign up for internet to get cable right now. I might have that wrong, and maybe if you call them, you could get just cable. But yeah, most everyone has internet now. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. 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 That's a great example that maybe your apartment splits the spectrum, and maybe you don't get very good connection. Maybe, yeah, you would normally be getting 100 megs per second, but split between 20 people. So at best you get 5, and sometimes worse. What can you do? You can, a lot of companies will offer you, like the cell phone companies, Verizon, T-Mobile, have a home internet that connects to like the 5G networks, and you can stream that way. Uh, some of them may have data limits, so you want to look at that. But yeah, that's a possibility. And while I'm thinking about it, if you have any individual questions about your own use, and you want to get one-on-one help exploring more options, we can help at the Jones Creativity Center. Come see us, and we can talk to you about and help you find individual solutions, that sort of thing. So definitely, if I haven't answered all of your questions today, or for those of you who are watching the recording, if you have questions or want some help, just visit us at the Jones Creativity Center, and we can help with that. Any other questions about? Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Uh, Right, right. The question is looking about getting a new Wi-Fi router, especially with security. You know, how secure are some? Do I have a preference of which router and that sort of thing? There's a lot of options out there. Um, as far as security goes, if you're using a modern Wi-Fi, and by modern, I mean probably within the last 15, 20 years, it's going to be pretty secure as long as you make sure you use you don't have an open network, you have a security network on there. Um, I would say that's practically as secure as not using Wi-Fi, but going directly with an Ethernet cable. Um, as far as which ones are good or not, um, well, my brother works at Cisco, so I guess I'll say that I have used those, but I have used others. Mostly what you'll be looking for is, is it uh, two gigahertz and 5 gigahertz, and now they have 6 gigahertz. Those are different channels that give you more options. The higher the gigahertz channels, they can stream more data, but they generally have a shorter range. But I think they most all come with 2 and 5 gig channels, and some of the new ones are coming with a 6 gigahertz channel. And by gigahertz, I mean what type of radio frequency they use. Um, for name brands, there's a lot of them. I don't necessarily have a preference, but you might want to consider mesh or extenders if you do have a large house, especially if you know right now you're not getting good coverage in all of your rooms. Well, thank you all for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, but I'll be around live for several minutes if anyone wants to ask any other questions. Thank you for joining us today.